Hey everybody, welcome back to Tim Travels. It's Terry, your host. So, my buddy Lyle did a video the other day about, I call them the lock Nazis here at Prime. And, you know, I gotta say this. I've been doing this for like 3 years. I've never had anything broken into. I've actually had more than one shipper. I can remember being like, "Hey, you got a lock or you got a seal for this?" Nah. And and I've even had shippers at Prime that didn't give me a seal. Now, typically, I'll lock my doors for no other reason than just to make sure that no one's going to get in the trailer. But I think that people kind of overestimate how prevalent theft is. And what I mean by that is that if your trailer gets broken into and somebody steals a bunch of stuff, then to you theft is really prevalent. And I know there have been stories on the news media where intermodal containers on rail cars have been broken into. And, I think there's something significant. There's a significant difference between what we're doing with a trailer and what those intermodal containers are doing. First of all, those trains oftentimes stop for extended periods of time in areas that are not secure and are not well lit and don't even really have a set of eyes on them. Like those trains, sometimes they're sitting there, there's not even a crew on the train because they ran out of hours. Somebody drives out there and picks them up, and then for whatever reason, the railroad's not going to move that train right away because they have other trains that are higher priority, even though it's an intermodal container. So that's the first thing. A lot of truck stops are pretty isolated, and you really got to be proactive. But the other thing about theft, and I'll tell you this story that happened when I was at Estes. I don't know what Estes handles now, but Estes handled a lot of high value cargo for like Estes routinely transported tobacco products. And people on the loading docks knew what was there, and they transported firearms and just all sorts of stuff, but everything was considered high security and nothing was considered high security. But one of the accounts that Estes also had was with Amazon. Excuse me. And Amazon stuff would go in Estes vans, not pups, but in vans. But the yard that I worked at, or the terminal that I worked at, was pretty much wide open. Like you could drive in there with a bobtail, and no one would pay any attention to it. Like the terminal was so huge. There were so many vehicles coming and going, so many trailers. They just didn't really keep track. And there'd just be a sign, "Oh, go here if you're a third-party contractor towing Estes trailers or whatever." So there was a van parked out on the outbound side of the lot, and somebody came in with a bobtail and hooked it and left. Well, it turned out that van was full of Amazon stuff, and that was an inside job because it was just this random Estes van. And I'm actually in the wash out / truck wash line here in Springfield, so I'm gonna just pull up here. So somebody just came and got that van and drove away. And they were all mystified, but I don't know that they were mystified. I shouldn't say that, but they basically were like, "Oh snap, somebody stole a whole truckload of Amazon stuff." and it just vanished. And you know, the thing is that like I said, that was an inside job, right? Like a person coming to Estes' yard would not, I mean, it would have had to have been just like playing the lottery to just pick a van that happened to be loaded in the outbound side with Amazon stuff. And I'm pretty sure they knew exactly what was on there, because the person that loaded the trailer or moved the trailer.
I just wanted to give you a heads up. I'm doing all three on this one, and it's a chicken trailer, so it's going to be a little while.
All right.
I know you probably just need a washout, but I'm sorry.
No worries. So you know, that's part of it. If drivers keep their mouths shut and, you know, don't talk to each other, you know, don't talk to strangers, don't compare notes, the odds of somebody getting burglarized is pretty slim. But the other thing about the locks that you know, like, I get the point about locking your trailer, but I dropped off about a mile from here, and this will segue into the other part of this, but I dropped off about a mile from here, so I'm empty. I checked the back of the trailer, make sure nothing's in there, and I'm coming back over here to the global corporate headquarters. Well, I pull into inbound, and the first thing out of my mouth is, I'm dropping this trailer after I get a washout, because they always want to know what you're doing with your trailer. I said, I'm dropping this trailer after I get a washout. And so the guy starts doing his inspection, and then he comes back to me and he's like, is your lock on the trailer? Which they've now started asking about, you know, when you go through inbound or outbound. And I'm like, no, I just told you I'm going over to get it washed out, and then I'm dropping it. It's empty. So, you know, there's a balance to be struck here. And oh, by the way, if somebody doesn't have a lock on a trailer and you like say something to anybody but them, you know, I don't even know what to say about your personality or whatever. It's like the woman who called a guy's company. This was a trucker Richie Rich had a video about this. This woman called a guy's company because he bought some beer at a truck stop. I'm like, you know, stay at home, Karen. You know, stop snitching. You know, mind your own business. I mean, if somebody is putting somebody else in harm's way, or, you know, is doing something to hurt somebody, yeah, say something, obviously. But just because somebody doesn't have a lock on their trailer, or they don't have, you know, they bought a 6-pack of beer, it's not really any of your business. I mean, I cut one of my own locks recently because I had a lock on the load. I went to Pittston and got the trailer washed. We got the truck and trailer washed before I went to the 90. And when I got to the 90, the lock was frozen, and it was cold and very blustery, and I didn't have time, because it was one of those places where there's like 8,000 trucks moving around. I didn't have time to like defrost the lock or thaw out where you put the key. So I just said, screw it, and I got my bolt cutters and cut my own lock. Well, that's one reason I would have gone back with an empty trailer that didn't have a lock on it. I do have other locks, but I was just like, you know, I'm not going to deal with it right this second. So that's that. The other thing I wanted to mention, though, is this is a little bit of a funny story. So my fleet manager, so I'm here in Springfield, my PSD trainee is here, and we got our plans to get to work on the truck and get him up to speed on getting his CDL. But my fleet manager said, oh, well, when you get to Springfield with this load, you could take your trainee, and you know, you pick up your trainee and take him to the 90 with you and show him something. And I was like, I could. And, you know, my PSD guy and I met up yesterday, but I was like, look, I got to drop this load at 3:30 in the morning. I said, there's no reason for you to go with me. I said, first of all, it's going to be dark. I'm going to be doing the driving. It's not going to, and it's only like a mile away, so it's not a huge learning experience. And yeah, there'll be plenty of time for that. You know, by the time you get to the end of TNT, trust me, you'll have gone to like 20 or 30 of these grocery receiver places. And I'm so glad I did that, because this was a debacle. I get there, I had a 3:30 appointment. I get there at like 3. They're like, the first thing out of the guard's mouth is, you know, he's like, I pull up, I'm like, how you doing? He's like, well, okay, I'm doing okay so far. Now it's like 3 in the morning, so I'm guessing his day is just starting, maybe not. And then he was basically like giving me instructions. He's like, yeah, hopefully they'll get you out of here in a reasonable amount of time, but don't count on it. And I'm like, yeah, that kind of comes with the territory. But they gave me, so I go and park, and I go inside, and they give me a door assignment where I basically have to leave the facility, go back out on the street, drive down the fence line, go back into a dock. So I probably get into the dock actually early, like, well, I probably get in there right around 3:25. It is now 11:45, and I just got back here at Prime, and this place is a mile away. Because then I waited and waited and waited, finally get a call about how much it's going to cost. I call the guy back with the express code. Then you got to wait for your paperwork. Then I have to drive back out of the facility, down the street, go back in the main gate, drive around to get my paperwork. I was like, if I saw that on my very first day, I'd be like, yeah, can you just take me back to the hotel so I can pick up my shit and go home? I mean, it you know, lumpers, it was like the whole 9 yards, right? Just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and sorry about that. So anyway, yeah, that's a way to quickly get somebody to want to quit this business, is take them to a place that, and you know the word you never want to hear, and you don't want anybody to hear this their first day on the job. Yeah, the lumpers are capstone. So I'm glad I didn't take him. He's living a normal life today, and then we'll be on the pad this evening. Hopefully the wind dies down a little bit. It's like really gusting today here. We'll be on the pad tonight or this evening, tomorrow morning, and then we'll maybe figure something out to do, go somewhere. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening to my semi rant, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.